what's going on, everyone? Huge fantasy implications with this Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill situation. Both have been traded in the last couple weeks. I figure we could talk about them, talk about what this means for the Packers, the Chiefs, the Dolphins, the Raiders. So we're going to go through all that real quick. I'm going to give you my take on what is left behind in Green Bay, what this means for Davante Adams from a 2022 and dynasty perspective, and also some takes on Tyreek Hill. So let's fire away here. Davante Adams, obviously one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, has had just an immaculate run the last 6 years. 10 plus touchdowns in 5 of the last 6 years. And has truly emerged over the last couple as one of the best receiving weapons in the NFL. Goal line, intermediate, deep threat, short passes. He can literally do everything. So that is why the Las Vegas Raiders made him the top paid wide receiver in the NFL. And, we're going to see what that means for him. And I'll tell you what I think it means for all parties involved is that everyone gets worse from a fantasy perspective beyond Derek Carr. I think this makes Aaron Rodgers worse. I think this makes Davante Adams worse. I think this makes everyone else on the Raiders worse. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, even the Bryan Edwards hope I had. I think that's kind of shriveled up at this point. Davante Adams is going to command 120, 250 targets in this Raiders offense. Derek Carr, not a guy historically who has created high-end fantasy weapons. He did have that 1 year with Darren Waller, but ultimately I think we're looking at a situation where Adams is going to see a big downturn in production. Now, does that mean he's going to be terrible in fantasy in 2022 and beyond? No, but I think we can pretty easily tear down his touchdown production from the past. I do think he can get close to 10 touchdowns in this Raiders offense, but the 18 we saw in 2020, we're never going to see anything like that again with Derek Carr at the helm. We saw Amari Cooper, what he did with Derek Carr, and we know Amari Cooper, he's not quite Davante Adams, but he's a good wide receiver. Never really got above that 5 to 7 touchdown range, despite putting up some pretty good years. So yes, I still like Davante Adams. Yes, I think he's going to make the Raiders better tactically. However, I don't think this is going to be, like we've seen with the Packers, 110 plus reception, 1,300 plus receiving yard, 11 plus touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 years. And the only reason he didn't do that in 2019 was because he injured his ankle in the first drive of 2019. So I think these days are over for him. He's going to be 29 it's going to be his age 30 season, but he's going to be, 29 entering 2022. I think from a dynasty perspective, we have to downgrade him. I think everything needs to be downgraded, including Aaron Rodgers, which I think is a good topic to kind of go in here next. Aaron Rodgers is a guy who historically has provided very efficient production, but has sort of been a little inconsistent with his touchdown totals and some of his yardage, from a ceiling perspective. Rodgers thrives on efficiency and just slicing and dicing defenses in the first half and then crushing them and sitting on the bench in the fourth quarter. We've seen a lot of that the last couple years. Unfortunately, I think we could be returning to these types of numbers in the next couple years with no Davante Adams there. I think Davante Adams was a big reason why he hit these ceiling type numbers the last couple years, and I think that is going to be, that's going to be a tick down here. He doesn't have a guy anymore that's going to be able to put up 15 touchdowns. And we've seen Rodgers in his career find guys who are kind of quirky, like the Robert Tonyan 2 years ago, where he can catch 10 touchdowns and be a fantasy factor. But we're really looking, when he doesn't have that high end guy, we kind of just see him historically producing that, high 20s, early or low 30s touchdowns and, 4,000 yards. But he's mainly going to be an efficient quarterback. With their current depth chart, I don't envision them grabbing someone who's going to be even close to Davante Adams' level. And so let's break into the next point here. Davante Adams, I would argue he's not unique for Aaron Rodgers' career. This is a guy that has produced immense numbers, but he's not the only guy to do that with Aaron Rodgers. In fact, he's just one of a long list of guys. So, let's take a look at this. First guy up is Greg Jennings. Now, Greg Jennings was not close to the talent of Davante Adams, but he did have this 3-year stretch here of basically 1,200 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns. He also had a nice 2007 season. This was kind of Rodgers' first run as quarterback. Actually, 2007 might have been Favre, but yeah, 2008, 2009, 2010 on, we're all with Rodgers. And actually, let's check that. Let's see where we're at, Russ. Was this Favre? No. Okay. We got it, boys. We got it. All right. So that was the first stance. So 2008 to 2010 was Greg Jennings. He had that final year in 2011, but he was kind of out the door here. He was kind of in contract disputes, wasn't getting paid what he wanted. And then, after he kind of left. But also, this is when Jordy Nelson started to get on the scene here. So 2011 on, I think, that 2011 was when Jordy broke out and really became the featured guy there. So that was 2008 to 2010 was Greg Jennings. Then we saw this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he missed 2015. 5-year stretch of Jordy Nelson being an absolutely monstrous fantasy producer. And if you look, these numbers are very similar to Davante Adams. I mean, this 5-year stretch of production looks eerily similar to Davante Adams. And that's all I'm saying here with Rodgers. Rodgers has a history of making guys produce like this. Even a guy like Randall Cobb, he wasn't able to stay healthy after this, but he did have a 2014 season where he produced 1,324 yards from scrimmage and 12 touchdowns. So when we're talking about Davante Adams, we have to have the context that, what Davante Adams has done from a production standpoint has been fantastic, but it's not totally unique for Aaron Rodgers and his career. So just some food for thought on that. Adams is probably the best of that bunch, though I would say Apex Jordy Nelson was quite the load to handle. So just some context there. And then, with Tyreek Hill, it's kind of a similar thing, though. Clearly, he's going to have a tougher time producing with Tua than he did with Mahomes. But I think this could hurt Mahomes as well. Who made who here? I'd say Mahomes is going to be just fine without Hill. But just like Rodgers, I think we could see a 10-15% drop in his production heading into 2022 and beyond. I mean, unless they can fill in for Tyreek Hill, which I don't know how many guys you can really do that with. Even if they do draft a Jamison Williams or Chris Olave or something like that in the draft, they're not going to be able to replicate what Tyreek Hill brings to the table in year one. So maybe if they bring in a DK Metcalf or something like that, I heard he was sort of being talked about as available, then maybe that's a possibility. But ultimately, I do not think we're going to see these types of fantasy years from Tyreek Hill anymore. It was a great 5-year run. And again, even that year where the production was down, it was because he got hurt. So yeah, I think this just knocks down everyone involved, and I think we could just have some other juggernaut offenses emerge in front of these Chiefs and Packers offenses this next couple years. So weird times. I think it's going to be fun to see Tyreek Hill in that Dolphins offense, but ultimately I'm downgrading everyone involved. So there you go. That's kind of my thoughts on these two trades, both from a fantasy, dynasty, and overall perspective. I thank you guys for tuning in and appreciate you for tagging along. If you liked this video or found anything valuable about it, please give me a like and also subscribe to the channel. I'd love to get to 200 subscribers. I thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you next time.